What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Football Corner Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Queen. And of course, before we get started with today's episode, recapping all the games. Okay, not all the games, but majority of the games that happened in Week 11. I'd like for all my subscribers out there on YouTube to please subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to my podcast via a podcast app like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even Google Podcasts, please subscribe to the podcast. And let's cue it up. Let's start this episode with the Sunday recap. I watched the majority of the games that happened during Week 11, and I was not impressed with the results I saw and a lot of outcomes in the games. But what Week 11 provides for me and the rest of the football world is that we could already. It's almost like a 80%, 90% decision made up of who are the bad teams officially and who are the teams that are going to make a playoff run from Week 12 and beyond. And a few of those teams was on full display yesterday. So I'm going to discuss some teams that or like sneakily are making playoff runs, and that would be the Commanders and the Lions. Commanders had a commanding see what I did there. The Commanders had a commanding lead, had a commanding win over the Houston Texans, and the Texans are going to get the number one seed. Let's go ahead and mark that in the book. I don't think anybody else is going to have a worse record than the Houston Texans. Houston Texans are going to get the number one seed, and we'll see if they draft a quarterback, because Davis Mills, I don't want to say he's not the guy, but it doesn't feel like he can overcome the dysfunction of the offense, which is the Houston Texans. And it's hard to do that, especially when you don't have the greatest offensive line. You do have some really nice weapons. You got Brandon Cooks, you got Dameon Pierce in the backfield, but I don't think that's enough. But when you have that transcendent quarterback, it elevates the game of the people around him. And Davis Mills is not a transcending quarterback, so he's not going to elevate the level of play around him with the Houston offense. Now, if Davis Mills goes to a situation where he has a lot of Pro Bowl pieces around him, I think he can't succeed. But as of now, he can't do that, and the Houston Texans need a transcending quarterback. But back to the Lions and the Commanders. The Commanders, first off, are the team to watch down the stretch. They're 6-5. They're one game above 500. And Ron Rivera, in the post game conference, confirmed that Taylor HEINKE is the quarterback going forward. I mean, he also went in to say that Carson Wentz, he's going to talk to Carson Wentz about him being a backup for this team. And the reporter asked, "Oh, why are you going with Taylor HEINKE?" He was just saying, he was truthful about it. He said, "The reason why I'm going with Taylor HEINKE is because he wins." Simple as that. And I agree. I think Taylor HEINKE just always has a chip on his shoulder, and he plays that way. Because he has gone through so much in his football life that he feels like nothing phases him, right? He doesn't have the pressure of a Carson Wentz or a Jared Goff or other players of that magnitude, because there's no expectations. You put him out there, he's a backup. I mean, at one point, he was a third-string quarterback. I know. And I believe he was playing the AAF, and I think he played in the XFL. So he has come a long way to becoming a starting quarterback. And each time they put him in that starting role, all he does is win games. Dating back 2 years ago, when he helped lead them to a playoff berth and went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. Of course, I want to go to the Lions, and the Lions. I talked about, if you go back a few episodes, I talked about the Lions were probably going to have to fire Dan Campbell. And I love Dan Campbell because he was making a lot of boneheaded decisions, coaching calls. Like, I saw, like, he's being overly aggressive. It's like they were overreaching because they wanted to win so bad. They were overreaching and being more aggressive than they have to be. And it was costing the team. But now you see slowly the Lions are getting into a groove, and they realize what they have to do on offense in order for this team to succeed. Now, Jared Goff can make the throws and can get the job done with his arm, but if you want the maximum effort of this offense, it has to go through your two running backs and DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Now, Jamal Williams, this guy has 12 rushing touchdowns. He should be a Pro Bowler this year just based off of how much this offense has fed off of him because he's a power back. When it comes to 10 yards in the red zone from the first and goal, 10 yards to go, you want him in the backfield because he's going to punch it in 9 times out of 10. This Lions offense, I'm going to talk about them a little later in this podcast, but this Lions offense looks like they're slowly going to make a run. And this is why the week since we're past the halfway mark of the season, I like that we'll be able to see what teams are contenders and pretenders, and a lot of the pretenders showed themselves because they are 3-7. Most of the 3-7 teams, I don't think are going to be able to make even the wild card. That'll be including the Broncos, the Raiders, the Bears, another 3-win team. Of course, the Texans are 1-8, but those teams out there are not going to be in the postseason this year. Let's go to best and worst performances from Week 11, and the best performance will have to go to Cowboys running back / receiver. In my opinion, it will be Tony Pollard. He had 189 yards from scrimmage. He had two receiving touchdowns, and he broke the game wide open with his acceleration, his ability to. Let's just talk about this. Both touchdowns he had receiving, he went untouched. Okay, let's go to put that out there. He had 6 catches for 109 receiving yards. Average, I believe that's like 18 yards per reception. He also had 80 yards on the ground on 15 carries, which is like 5.3 yards a carry. So with that, Tony Pollard has just like acceleration and a little burst to this offense. He's so electric, and he's like in his 4th year in the league. I know people love Ezekiel Elliott, and I like him too. Ezekiel Elliott has been very good for this organization for the past 5 years. But at this point, I think Mike McCarthy understands where their explosive plays is going to be coming from in the backfield, and that would be Tony Pollard. I mean, because Ezekiel Elliott's not going to catch a 60-yard pass. I mean, he's not going to catch a pass that goes. He's not going to catch a 35-yard pass and take it to make it a 68-yard touchdown. That's just not going to happen. You don't have that at Ezekiel Elliott because he just doesn't have that burst he did when he was a rookie. But Tony Pollard has fresh legs. He's faster. He's probably the fastest person on their team right now. He is your Weapon X. He is your Alvin Kamara. He is your playmaker. He is your the guy that opposing teams will have to scheme to stop. That's the guy you want to stop. And if it wasn't for him, this Cowboys team wouldn't have had a dominated victory, 40-3 over the Vikings. Now it goes to this is the point I really want to talk about in this segment. That's the worst performance, and I have to go to quarterback of the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is garbage. He's horrible. So far he has become a bust for this organization. He has done nothing that is significant or nothing that is great for the Jets. The Jets are on the going up, on the rise. Their stock is going upwards. And Zach Wilson is dragging their stock down. And it's because of his quarterback play. I never seen a quarterback who literally, their defense has given up 3 points. You can't score more than that? Now we could talk about Mac Jones and score more than 3 points himself. But Mac Jones actually played well in the passing game. Like he actually was getting completions. They were moving the ball. Zach Wilson had 9 completions. He went 9 for 22 for 77 yards passing. Did you know his team had as many punts as they had completions? And of course, when he was asked about this in the post-game conference, this is what he said.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
I mean, like, how can you not even take accountability for the reason why your team didn't win? I guess you say, well, we matched them same amount of points they put up. It was special teams who gave up the game winning touchdown. It shouldn't even came to that. Okay? It shouldn't even came to that. You drive down the field, you get some points on the board. This team is only as good as you would take them. Because this team, if you put in like an Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr or some of these quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, this team will have a better record and they'll be more productive. Unfortunately, they're stuck with you. Okay? You were drafted second overall in the 2021 NFL draft. And this is all you could show us? You got to give us something. All the quarterbacks from that draft class have done something or doing something. Trevor Lawrence is getting better and better by the game. Justin Fields is just electric. Okay? Mac Jones went to a Pro Bowl his rookie season. Now it's just up to you and Trey Lance. Okay? Trey Lance, we'll see what happens to him when he comes back next year. But Zach Wilson, you have to show up. You have to. You have to. Because this team is in prime position to be a playoff team. This is the best Jets team since like 2015. Okay? And that team went 10-6. They put you in a great position. Built you a defense. You have a okay offensive line. Okay? Did your defense sack Mac Jones 6 times? 6. They were getting after the quarterback. They kept giving you. They only gave up 3 points, and you can't give me more than that. You can just give me 13, or even give me. If you would have given me 6 points, and then the special teams blunder happened, okay, I live with that because you had to lead. Okay, you put enough points up for your team to win, but you did not. What you have a 24 QBR? A 20 QBR? What is that? 40% completion percentage? What is that, Zach Wilson? Help me out here. Tell me you could do better than that. This team will only go as far as you take them, and the way you're playing, I don't think they'll be a playoff team. Let's go to the upset of the day. We'll have to go to the Detroit Lions with their victory over the Giants. They beat the Giants 31-18. This Lions team, who knows what happens after this? But they won 3 games in a row. Their team is playing complimentary football. Their rookie Aiden Hutchinson is making plays, flying all around the field. The football field. They also Jamal Williams has 12 rushing touchdowns, which is the most in 10 games by any Detroit running back. And you forget. That's breaking Barry Sanders' record. He had 10. I think he had like 10 through 10 games. This Lions team was phenomenal. They held the league-leading rusher in Saquon Barkley to 1.5 yards a carry on 15 attempts. They made Daniel Jones be a passer, and that's what you get. When you make Daniel Jones be the quarterback to win the game, he shows you what he really is. If you don't have that running game to help him out, he's going to show you what he really is. Daniel Jones is not a quarterback that's going to win a shootout with just his arm. He needs the running game, and he needs the defense in order to capitalize. This Giants team is probably going to be a playoff team, but they were exposed by a Lions team who has been explosive this season. They have put up 30 points in 5 of their 10 games. So it's not like this team can't score points. But kudos to the Lions. They get the upset of the day. They are now 4-6. They are second in their division behind the 8-2 Vikings. We'll see if they be able to use these 3 wins to create momentum, be able to ride this out to the end of the season, and we'll see if they'll be a wildcard team for the 2022 postseason. Before we end this podcast, for the last segment, let me just go ahead and sit back. I just want to pick, say some things that's been on my mind about the 2022 NFL season. I would like to do this every Sunday, every episode I do on Monday, to be able to say some things that I'm feeling about the 2022 NFL season, and that would be Baltimore Ravens are 7-3, don't know how sometimes they only won by 10 points against the Carolina Panthers. But somehow that defense and Lamar Jackson, they're tough, man. I'd see the Cincinnati Bengals, and their team is just more explosive. They have better weapons on offense. But yeah, those Baltimore Ravens, man, they're well coached. They play opportunistic football. They get takeaways. They capitalize off of that. They have the NFL's best kicker and arguably the best kicker in NFL history in Justin Tucker. When you need him, he put it right through. Lamar Jackson just finds a way to win. They're 7-3. They lead the division. That's pretty awesome. And then we have the Steelers. I mean, for the first time, it looks like Mike Tomlin's not going to have a winning record in his career. Well, not even a winning record. He's going to be below 500. So far as a coach, he has not had a under 500 record in a season that he's coached, and it looks like that it's going to be that way. They only lost by 7 points against the Bengals. Kenny Pickett and this offense looks like they're coming together, but it's a little too late. You're 3-7. I talked about it earlier in this podcast that team, the 3-7 teams, you're essentially done for. I mean, maybe one of the teams that are 3-7 have a chance, but if you're 3-7, there's an 85% chance you're not going to make the playoffs. It just is what it is. I mean, unless you know how to win out. If you're able to win out, be able to go 10-7, that'd be impressive. But I think the Steelers are making their. I think their offense is coming together slowly. It took a while, but here we go. Here they come. Pacers Steelers. But if I was the Steelers, I would actually look forward to, giving some good teams some losses, man. Get a lot of upsets for the rest of the season. I like the Commanders. Commanders 65. They have potential. The Falcons had a must needed win, what brings them to be 5-6. They're still 1.5 game behind the Buccaneers for the division lead, so that should be crucial. Let's talk about the Rams, man. How the mighty has fallen. The reigning Super Bowl champion Rams have fallen to 3-7. I didn't see this coming. I mean, who saw Sean McVay, coach team will lose to the Saints, and it's the same Saints that sometimes play like Aints. Okay, the Rams, they got a lot of problems. This is what happens when you put all your chips in. You get that. You actually get the chip. You get the Super Bowl, but your offensive line needs help. You probably need to find a running back now. Yeah, it's not looking too good. But guess what? You have draft picks, so you'll be able to. Oh, wait, no, you don't. You don't have draft picks either. So we'll see what happens in free agency in the offseason. And with that, time to run the open. I mean, whoa. Run the close. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching and listening to the Football Corner Podcast. Podcast episodes will be dropped on Mondays and Fridays, as well as YouTube videos on Mondays and Fridays. You could click the link in my description in order to follow the social media links to my podcast social media pages. And also, you'll be able to stay up to date on new drops, new takes, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.